Are you living at 40% of your fucking potential? Most of you watching right now are soft. You've convinced yourself that faith is some mystical bullshit that happens to other people. Wrong. Faith isn't waiting for a miracle. It's having the courage to be the miracle when everyone else has given up. In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to show you why faith isn't for the weak. It's the ultimate weapon of the uncommon among the uncommon. I put that cal out in the thumbnail because most people don't have the balls to face themselves in the mirror and admit they're living a watered-down version of what they could be. I'm David Goggins, and by the end of this video, you're going to understand 3 things. How to develop unshakable self-belief when everyone thinks you're crazy, how to push through when your mind is screaming to quit, and how to use faith as fuel when the path ahead looks fucking impossible. Right now, many of you are stuck. You wake up every morning feeling that emptiness in your gut, that voice telling you this isn't it. You've tried to silence it with comfort, with excuses, with bullshit stories about why you can't achieve more. You look in the mirror and don't recognize the person staring back. That pain, that disconnect between who you are and who you could be, it's eating you alive from the inside out. And what makes it worse? You've tried to change. Maybe you've attempted new diets, new workout plans, new jobs, but nothing sticks. You start strong, then fall off, and each failure makes you believe less in yourself, creating a downward spiral that feels impossible to escape. That hopelessness, that feeling that maybe you're just not built for greatness, it's fucking suffocating, isn't it? I know because I lived it. I was a 300-pound exterminator scraping cockroach shit off walls, contemplating suicide because I couldn't see a way out. What I'm about to share changed everything for me. Not overnight, there's no magic pill, but through the most powerful force available to any human being. A faith so strong it can bend reality itself. Faith isn't what most people think it is. It's not some religious concept. It's not hoping things work out. Real faith is an absolute fucking certainty in yourself when there's zero evidence you should believe. Let me tell you something that happened during Bud's training Hell Week. On day 3, I had pneumonia, stress fractures in my shins, and was coughing up blood. The instructors were betting against me. The other trainees were betting against me. Every cell in my body was screaming to quit. But in that moment, and this is critical, so listen up, in that moment I made a decision that changed everything. I decided to have faith not in some external force, but in myself. I looked at my broken body and said, "You will not quit. You are capable of 100 times more than what your mind is telling you." Here's what most people never understand about faith. It's not waiting for conditions to be perfect. It's stepping out when conditions are absolute dog shit and saying, "I'm going anyway." As you can see in the thumbnail, I put uncommon faith because that's what separates those who achieve greatness from those who live ordinary lives. Most people are waiting for the path to clear before they start walking. The warriors, the champions, the ones who leave a mark, they start walking and trust the path will appear beneath their feet. Let me ask you something. What dream have you been putting off because you can't see the whole path? What goal seems so big that you're afraid to even start? Write it down right now. Seriously. Pause this video and write it down. That thing that scares you, that's exactly where your faith needs to be directed. Now, I'm going to show you exactly how to develop this kind of unshakable faith even when you failed 237 times before. I'll give you the specific mental framework. I used to go from that 300-pound exterminator to completing some of the world's toughest endurance events. But first, let me tell you why most people's faith crumbles at the first sign of adversity. While you're sitting around worrying about people believing in you, why don't you focus on believing in yourself? This is the self-belief paradox that keeps most people stuck. In 2005, I weighed 297 pounds. I decided to try out for the Navy SEALs. When I told people, they laughed in my face. My own family thought I had lost my mind. Not a single person believed I could do it. Here's what I learned. Waiting for external validation is a death sentence for your dreams. The human mind is wired to seek approval, to want others to confirm our path. But true faith, the kind that transforms your life, has to come from within first. You know what's crazy? Most people have more faith in their favorite football team than they do in themselves. They'll believe complete strangers in jerseys can overcome a 20-point deficit, but won't believe they themselves can lose 20 pounds or start a business. That's some backward-ass thinking, and it's keeping you small. Your faith in yourself has to be non-negotiable. It has to be so strong that it becomes contagious to others. If what I'm saying is resonating with you, hit that subscribe button right now. I don't share this shit for views. I share it because this mentality saved my life, and I know it can transform yours too. Subscribe to join a community of people who refuse to live at 40% of their potential. We're on this journey together, and I want you alongside me as we continue to push our limits. Now let me tell you about my 187th pull-up. During my training, I set out to break a world record for pull-ups. On my first attempt, I failed miserably. My hands were torn to shreds, bleeding everywhere. I couldn't even grip a steering wheel to drive home. Most people would say, well, I tried. It wasn't meant to be. That's what average people do. They try once, maybe twice, then quit and say it wasn't in the cards. But faith isn't tested when things are going well. Faith is forged in the fucking fire of failure. After that first attempt, I went back and tried again, and again, and again. I failed publicly. People were watching me fail over and over. Let me tell you something I've never shared before. After my third failed attempt at the pull-up record, I went home, sat in my bathroom, and cried like a baby. Not because I was sad, but because I was faced with a choice. Let this break me or let this make me. As you can see in this image I've put in the thumbnail, that's my hands after 2,000 pull-ups. Completely destroyed, skin hanging off. But what you can't see is what was happening in my mind. I had to find faith not just in my goal, but in the process. Faith that each failure was actually moving me closer. Faith that the calluses forming on my hands were also forming in my mind. This is where most people miss the boat on faith. They think it's about the outcome. But I'll explain in a few minutes exactly how to redirect your faith to fall in love with the process instead of the outcome. And that's when everything changes. But first, let me tell you about the invisible rules that are keeping your faith small. Everyone takes the limits of their own vision for the limits of the world. There are invisible rules governing your life right now that you don't even recognize as rules. When I was growing up, I was told what was possible for someone who looked like me, who came from where I came from. I was told what my ceiling was, and for years, far too many years, I believed those rules applied to me. Here's what I've learned after pushing my body and mind to places people said were impossible. Most limitations are self-imposed. They're stories we tell ourselves based on other people's failures and fears. Think about a trained elephant tied to a small stake. When it's a baby, it tries to break free but can't. Eventually, it stops trying, believing it can't escape. As an adult, that same elephant, now powerful enough to uproot trees, stays tethered to that tiny stake because it believes it can't break free. That's you right now. You're a fucking giant being held back by a tiny stake because at some point you tried and failed, and instead of maintaining faith, you accepted that failure as your limit. Now we're at the most important part of this entire video. Pay attention. Your mind is designed to protect you from pain. When it starts telling you to quit, you're only at about 40% of what you're truly capable of. That's not my opinion. That's science backed by military research on human performance. Here's where faith comes in. The ability to push past that 40% barrier requires believing in something you can't yet see or feel. It requires faith that there's more in the tank when all evidence suggests you're empty. During my second Hell Week attempt, I developed double pneumonia and multiple stress fractures. The medical officers wanted to pull me. My body was shutting down, but I had faith, unshakable faith, that I could endure more. Who's going to carry the BOATS? Who's going to carry the logs? That's what I screamed at myself when I wanted to quit. Because faith isn't just some passive belief. It's an active, aggressive stance against your own weakness. Most of you watching right now have never pushed past that 40% barrier. You've never had to dig deep enough to discover what's on the other side. And that's why your faith is weak, because you've never tested it in the crucible of true suffering. I'm going to show you exactly how to develop the kind of faith that can push you past that 40% barrier. This specific mental technique has helped me complete more than 60 ultramarathons, break pull-up world records, and survive the toughest military training in the world. But first, I need to address something critical about faith that most motivational speakers never talk about. Life rarely goes as planned. Often it takes you in a completely different direction than you intended to travel. This is where most people's faith fails them. They have faith as long as things go according to their plan. The moment there's a detour, their faith crumbles. Real faith, the kind that transforms your life, is maintaining absolute certainty not in your plan, but in your ability to adapt to whatever comes. When I failed my first hell week, I could have lost faith. When I got stress fractures before Badwater 135, I could have lost faith. When I was diagnosed with a heart condition that should have ended my career, I could have lost faith. Let me tell you something I don't talk about often. In 2018, I was diagnosed with atrial fibrillation. The doctors told me my ultra-endurance career was over. They said if I pushed my heart rate too high, I could die on the course. You know what I did? I sat with that information for exactly 24 hours. Then I decided that faith doesn't bow to medical diagnoses. Faith doesn't surrender to expert opinions. Faith says, I acknowledge your reality, but I choose to create my own. I modified my training, adapted my approach, and kept pushing forward. Not because I was in denial, but because my faith in my body's ability to adapt was stronger than my fear of what could go wrong. Shallow people believe in luck and circumstance. Strong people believe in cause and effect. Your life right now, every aspect of it, is a direct reflection of the choices you've made and the faith you've demonstrated. If you're unhappy with your physical condition, your relationships, your career, your mental state, that's not bad luck. That's the effect of choices you've made. The good news: new choices create new effects. When I was that 297-pound exterminator, I could have blamed genetics, my upbringing, my circumstances. Instead, I chose to believe in cause and effect. I chose to believe that new actions would create new results, even when I had zero evidence to support that belief. After 67 days of training, I lost 106 pounds to qualify for Navy SEAL training. Not because I'm special, because I understood that faith without work is dead. I ran 2,186 miles in training before I ever attempted an ultramarathon. I did 7,432 pull-ups in practice before attempting the world record. Faith isn't magic. It's the conviction to keep putting in work when results aren't yet visible. It's trusting the process enough to show up on day 103 with the same intensity you had on day 1. Optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Everything can be done without hope and confidence. That's not some feel-good bullshit. That's the psychological mechanism that enables human achievement. Your brain literally performs better when you believe you can succeed. Your body can endure more pain when you believe there's purpose behind it. Your will to continue strengthens when you believe your efforts will be rewarded. But here's the catch, and listen carefully: optimism isn't natural for everyone. For some of us, especially those who have faced trauma or repeated failures, pessimism becomes the default setting. I know because that was me. Now, as promised, I'm going to give you my exact framework for developing unshakable faith. This isn't theory, this is the mental technology I've used to accomplish what others said was impossible. Step 1. Create an accountability mirror. Write your goals on sticky notes and place them on your bathroom mirror. Each morning, look yourself in the eye and speak your intentions aloud. I will run 100 miles. I will lose 100 pounds. I will build $1 million business. Say it until you believe it. Step 2. Document your small wins religiously. Faith grows through evidence. In a journal, record every tiny victory, every extra rep, every minute you pushed past discomfort, every time you chose discipline over comfort. Review this journal when doubt creeps in. Step 3. Intentionally seek out challenges that scare you. Faith is like a muscle, it grows through resistance. Each week, do one thing that makes you uncomfortable. Cold showers, fasting for 24 hours, Running in the rain, train your mind to say yes when comfort says no. Step 4. Create a failure protocol. Decide in advance how you'll respond when you fail, because you will fail. My protocol is simple. I allow myself 24 hours to feel the pain, then I ask, what did this teach me? And get back to work with that new knowledge. Close your eyes right now. Seriously, if you're not driving, close your fucking eyes. Imagine yourself having already achieved your biggest goal. Feel the emotion, experience the pride, lock in that sensation. Now open your eyes, that feeling you just experienced. That's the power source for your faith. Return to it daily. Visualize with such intensity that your body can't distinguish between visualization and reality. Let's talk about one of the hardest aspects of faith, maintaining it when everyone around you thinks you're crazy. When I told people I was going to become a Navy SEAL, they laughed. When I said I would run 100 miles with no ultramarathon experience, they said it was impossible. When I attempted to break world records with broken feet and compromised lungs, they said I was risking my life for nothing. Your faith will be tested most not by circumstances, but by the doubt of others, especially those closest to you. Their doubt isn't malicious. They simply can't see what you can see. They're trapped in their own 40% mindset, and your ambition threatens their comfort. Before I give you my final thoughts on faith, take a second to smash that like button and subscribe if you're committed to living uncommon among the uncommon. This isn't about building my channel, it's about building a community of people who refuse to settle, who push past pain, who develop unshakable faith in themselves. I want you with me on this journey. Faith is not the absence of doubt, it's the commitment to action despite doubt. Every great achievement in human history began with someone having faith in what didn't yet exist. The 4-minute mile was scientifically impossible until Roger Bannister had faith it wasn't. Space travel was scientifically impossible until NASA had faith it wasn't. Your transformation might seem impossible right now until you have faith it isn't. I want you to understand something fundamental. Faith is a choice. Every morning you choose either faith or fear. You choose to believe in possibility or limitation. You choose to focus on how far you have to go or how far you've already come. Here's your homework, and I want you to screenshot this or write it down. For the next 21 days, start each morning by saying these words. I have unconquerable faith in my ability to overcome anything in my path. My potential is limitless. I'm just getting started. Say it like you mean it. Say it until you believe it. Say it until it becomes as natural as breathing. Then watch how your actions begin to align with those words. Remember this, faith doesn't make it easy, faith makes it possible. The path will be harder than you imagine. The pain will be greater than you expect. The doubts will be louder than you're prepared for. But with faith, real, unshakable, uncommon faith, you can endure any hell, overcome any obstacle, and achieve what others deem impossible. Don't give up. Don't throw in the towel. Don't quit. Stop thinking you're a failure. Stop looking in the mirror and seeing someone who's not enough. You are enough, and I promise you somehow, someway, everything is going to be okay. But only if you stay hard. Only if you embrace the suck and find comfort in being uncomfortable. Only if your faith in yourself becomes the hardest, most callous part of who you are. The question isn't whether faith works. The question is whether you're willing to work your faith. Are you ready to live your life? Are you ready to live your dream? Are you ready to become the person you've always known you could be? The time for waiting is over. The time for excuses is done. The time to activate your faith is right fucking now. Stay hard.